Hey friends, this is Joseph Maynor. So what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about this issue of wanting to be liked by people and why that always backfires by necessity. Ditto for wanting to be disliked by people. That actually backfires too in an interesting way. It makes you popular. A lot of people that are popular are people that are assholes who are funny, right? Because that takes the edge off of the cruelty. And people like drama, they like scapegoating others. It puts them in a suspended state of having to deal with their own stuff. It's a distraction. It's a pleasant distraction. And you know what really has captivated my thinking and being lately is that there's always some kind of a criticism for anything in the finite. So that's what gossip is. Gossip is like, just talking about people. Like, low-level people talk about people, middle-level people talk about events, high-level people talk about ideas. So again, it's like getting back to this thing where like, no matter how much of a goody two-shoes you try to portray yourself to be, somebody is going to react against you if you put yourself out there, because that gives them the ability to provide another perspective, even if it's just being against you. But see, this is necessary in the finite. But it goes against this expectation that we have of being liked and loved as a finite perspective. You almost have to like give that up without being a dick about it. Like, you still want to be a good person, but you got to realize, like, if you put yourself out there, the way absolute infinity works is it's going to give you like all the other moves that could be made. It's like, you're doing this, and here's the universe of moves that could be made in the shadow of what you're doing. Wake up, right? It's not the finite, it's the infinite that is where the I lives. And then you do get to a point where you realize, well, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. But this expectation that we have that being a good person is going to be recognized by others, and it kind of like you're off the hook. I was watching some YouTube videos about culture shock in Russia. I guess in Russia, like, people don't smile like they do here. Like, the way that we smile in the United States, it's almost like we're trying to disarm people by smiling at them. Like, I'm not an enemy, I'm a friend to a stranger. Whereas in Russia, when you smile at a stranger, they're looking at you like, what are you trying to do, dude? You know what I'm saying? It's not taken the same way. So, especially here in San Francisco, I don't know if it's because of the Asian influence here, but it's a very kind of like, it's a very kind of detached, cutthroat, but also kind of like passive aggressive culture where people kind of smile and nod to each other, but share nothing with each other too. So you kind of learn that, like, and when I went to India, right, that like fake politeness, right? Somebody's trying to like scam you, but they're like trying to befriend you to be able to get under your skin. So I'm just saying that, like, it's so interesting how absolute infinity from a finite perspective plays with every perspective. And it's almost like teaching you, this is what it's teaching you: don't identify entirely with yourself as a finite perspective. You're never going to win that way. That's not how you're going to to find happiness. Why? Because reality is always throwing you the other perspective. Here's the guy who's trolling you now, the guy who's like bullying you online, or the guy who's attacking you. You can't do anything right. You can't do anything wrong. You do something wrong, next thing you know, you get elected president. I mean, look at Trump, right? It's like reality is constantly like mixing the message almost. You got a do-gooder like Biden, and he ends up looking like a criminal as he leaves office for pardoning his son in the way that he did. And obviously, like, people who we like, this is the ego part of it, we give more of a pass to than people who we don't like. So, like, if you like Trump, you're going to give him a pass on all the stuff that, somebody who doesn't like Trump could write 10 volumes of books on. Ditto for Biden, or Brandon, as some of these right-wingers call Biden. Gotta love the right-wingers, though, right? The Joseph McCarthy redux people. Just like you gotta love the extreme left, right? With their moral idealism about, how everybody is the same. Everybody gets a trophy. But you realize, like, as soon as you, like, put a stake in the ground in the finite, there's another perspective that comes and, like, whacks it in the knees. Like Tanya Harding. Remember that Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan thing? You guys might be too young to know that, but look it up on Wikipedia, where Tanya Harding, like, basically injured Nancy Kerrigan. They were both figure skaters. Or somebody cheating at chess, right? I don't want to name any names here because, I don't want to participate in those kinds of allegations. But, and nowadays in chess, you could cheat. If you're playing online chess, you could log into Stockfish or Leela or something like that. And there's all this drama about that. Like, so there's always like, you work in a shared space and you put your lunch in the shared refrigerator and somebody eats your lunch right out of the refrigerator, right? How many times have you had that happen? And you put a nasty note on the fridge saying, hey, dude, what the fuck, right? At least, what's funny is like somebody ate my lunch this is when I was working, it's a little bit detour, but somebody ate my lunch out of the fridge one time and I left a note on the fridge for them I said, whoever ate my lunch, just give me $10, And sure enough, somebody said, okay. And they wrote okay on the note that I posted on the refrigerator, and $10 was put in an envelope in the refrigerator. And I took it, right? I mean, that was cool that they just kind of owned up to it, right? Even though they did it anonymously. But like, or like people who don't pay to ride the bus, or people who steal, right? Like, why work when you can just steal? It's almost like reality is kind of telling you, like, anytime you like frame an ought, it gives you like all of the possible moves that could be made. Like it matches the finite with the infinite every time. Kind of teaching you like, wake up, man. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up from your finite ego, but also realize too that you, in part, you're a finite ego too. You ever notice how asshole-ish like people who are into spirituality can be when you disagree with them? Even if they're all about love, right? They're still trying to tell you that you're wrong. It's like, look, dude, you're not loving. You, as a finite perspective, are definitely not loving. Or the jerk, right? Like somebody who's a spiritual enlightenment teacher and they bully others or make fun of others or like don't enforce right and wrong because they want to punish another person. But here's the thing. There's nothing about you that deserves punishment. That's the thing that I think you need to realize. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's a feature. And it's not driven, it's not personal. What it is it's giving you all of the perspectives all of the time. And the hope is that you will awaken. I'm using that word. I almost want to slap myself for using that word, but the hope is that you will awaken and realize that the expectation that everybody's going to like you, some people will not like you just because of the fact that, who knows, right? They don't like the way you look. They don't like who you talk to. They don't like what you talk about. They don't like the vibe you get off. You remind them of somebody who they don't like. They had a bad experience with you. To expect forgiveness, too, is another one of these. Like, I'm so good, I should be forgiven. No, but see, reality is going to give you the exact opposite spice there. It's going to say, like, yes and no and not even. Like, we don't want to accept ourselves as being limited and having all of the negative qualities as a finite perspective that we project onto others. So people are right when they call us on that, right? On some level. On some level, they're just being an asshole, right? They're grandstanding and trying to look important by schooling somebody else. But this is natural. This is necessary. This is to be expected. This is exactly why the human or the finite is samsara, and why karma exists within the human. But this is why awakening is so important, or spiritual enlightenment, so that you can have a perspective that doesn't negate the human, but supplements it or complements it, so that you can rest in awareness but then it's real tempting to take a position on the absolute, which what you're really doing there is you're still creating a finite perspective about the absolute. So, and that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that per se. The problem is, though, is that reality is going to give you every contrasting perspective to that, too, and tell you that none of these stories are actually true with a capital T. What's true with the capital T is there's a piece of you that sits outside of the finite. And, however, people talk about this. I mean, I follow a lot of communities online, and it's like no finite perspective is going to be right or unpunished by putting some story out there as the truth. Like that should be like, that's not a bug, that's a feature. That should be like directly understood why that has to be the way that it is. Because reality is constantly trying to school you to wake up. And the way it's trying to school you to wake up is to try to get you like to level up out of the finite into something else, which we might call spiritual enlightenment. But then, the finite perspective is still here, and there's a kind of post-enlightenment work where you go about giving space for the finite to be here as well as the infinite or the absolute. So, but I think those of us who try really hard to be liked because we think we're Jesus or something like that, as a finite perspective, look at that one. People, the reality will attack you just for trying to be a do-gooder. Reality will reward you for being evil as fuck, man. You know what I'm saying? For a time. But then it will school you there too. It's almost like reality is trying to school everybody in a certain kind of way. Like whatever they need to learn, reality is kind of like, has a teaching component to it. So friends, we're about halfway through the video. I'll take a break, I'll come back, and we'll continue. Just give me 1 second. All right, friends, I'm back. So I think to kind of recap what I talked about in the first half of this video, it's like realize that struggle and suffering are inherent in the finite, in the human, because it has to be here to make reality whole. It's like chess, every opening, even if it's shit, it's here. If you read the Oxford Companion to Chess and you look at all the different chess openings and defenses, it's all here. That's a kind of idealistic parallelism, but that's the masculine. The masculine wants to have an intellectual understanding of the patterns of reality through thought. So, and the question is that finite? Like, is there thought that is not finite? Like I am. Is I am a finite thought? Is I am is there something wrong with I am? Is it more like, it's not I am, it's I am and you are and not even. Like, can we entertain paradoxical thoughts? As a way to get out of the finite judgment that this is the way things are. Reality is your field of, perceivable objects, or, you can look at the history of philosophy. You could look at the history of world philosophy and catalog every finite position that you can take with regard to reality, almost. Just like you could read the Oxford Companion to Chess and see every opening and defense that people put into writing. So is codification necessarily finite in the sense of thought or language? But if you think about it, that's a finite question. And reality is going to pose the obvious counter to that. Like, yes, it is. No, it's not. Maybe. Maybe there's a compromise. Maybe it's neither. You know what I mean? It's like no matter what you say, reality is giving you the set of alternatives in the finite. This is what stage yellow understands, right? I mean, it just intellectually understands this, because it's the first tier 2 stage. That there are many ways to skin a cat, right? I mean, so what I want to talk about is allowing self-help to continue to be a topic of our conversations, and just as more practical preparation. So I think the first half of this video is kind of theory. I guess what I can do in this half of the video is to make it more practical. So I think that as we move toward New Year's, what are some like life coaching or self-help tips that I can give in light of this? Well, I've had some insights here. The first insight I have is that making something fun always improves it, doesn't it? This is why people go on vacation. This is why people eat great food. This is why people do drugs. This is why people socially interact. Like, if you can make something fun and entertaining and competitive, but like in a way that's engaging, like Habitica, for example. I don't know if you've ever played around with that app, or RPG video games where you level up, like Minecraft is a good example of this. Chessly, Levi Rosman's new community has a kind of leveling up mentality toward it. I always thought like the best accountability partners community, like if I ever get my act together and design this website, I would do it like this. That working on life coaching or self-help should be very similar to working on chess. It's something you work on a little bit every day. You don't have to be Tony Robbins, right? It's like, when you start playing chess, you could play one game a day, or study a little bit every day, work on an opening for a little while, one that that resonates with you and your personality. If you're doing web development, you don't have to learn all the highfalutin stuff. Just stick with HTML and CSS and then go from there. Like, learn the fundamentals, right? Work a little bit on the fundamentals every day. So when I was like playing chess, I was getting kind of good at it. And I'm not a very high elo, but I would just practice like principles and use my intuition. It wasn't until later on that I started to like get fascinated with book, right? Book is learning openings and defenses. It's almost like learning redstone in Minecraft. Like, why go mining for days and days and days when you can develop an iron golem farm, right? Where you can get all the iron that you want through an automatic farm. So Minecraft is actually really cool. Like, I've learned a lot about Minecraft, about how everybody's different. You have people that are interested in different things. Everybody plays Minecraft in a different way. I still love Minecraft, even though I think like they've added some stuff to it that I don't think actually improves it. And I don't know what happened there, but like, less is more sometimes, man. The whole point of Minecraft was that you don't really want to like tell anybody what to do. You want them to be able to decide. Maybe you get a dog and you just like, you build a hole in the ground at night and you sleep, you get a bed and you sleep and you just explore the entire world. You don't have to do anything any one particular way. You don't have to be an RPG guy. You don't have to be a fighter. You don't have to be somebody who's like trying to do something even. Like, you can literally just like enjoy whacking a tree, and then crawling into a hole in the ground at night with your bed, sleeping, waking up, like getting some food somewhere. So what I loved about Minecraft was like there's no like method for play. It's not like poker or chess where there's like, a directive. You could do anything you want in Minecraft. You don't even have to be competitive. You can be entirely creative. And I thought that like, wouldn't the best like life coaching community, in a way, and I know a lot of people are sensitive to thinking of life as a game. You might think of life as a hallucination, but yeah, that's okay. But Thinking of life as a game opens up new possibilities. Like a hallucination sounds passive to me. Sounds like dream, you know? But life as a game sounds active. It sounds like, you're not entirely a finite perspective or an infinite perspective. In fact, this idea that you know who or what you are is already kind of precarious. So maybe like ease off the gas in that kind of knowing perspective and embrace life at a much more simple kind of finite way where is there a way to get you as a finite perspective or to get others as a finite perspective to take better quality actions in their lives? And I don't think this is like an impossible question, and I don't think this is like an impossible answer. I think obviously if you can make somebody improving their lives synonymous with what it feels like to play a video game, and they're like taking care of good things to boot, how is that necessarily bad? I think it's like we have that in our shadow. We have gamification on our shadow because we think, oh, somebody's going to go too far with it and they're going to become like an Elon Musk or somebody like that. No, like Elon Musk is an anomaly. It's like what we really want, though, ultimately, is some kind of a feeling like we recognize our finite perspective as okay to be here, as partial as it is, and we're on board with our finite perspective. Like we know that there's like lots and lots of things that we want to do in our lives that are not just like greedy, but necessary. Like working on our health, working on our relationships, working on our finances, working on our survival interests. Why not make that fun? Like, can somebody develop something that makes that fun? It's not the same as mouthing off on a spiritual forum. Like it's something more like working on chess, actually. There's a strange analogy between chess and the finite perspective. A useful analogy. Ditto for Minecraft and the finite perspective. Although I think Minecraft has gotten a little bit away. It's tried to like please too many people, actually. And just added too much stuff, right? Like keep it simple, right? Let the person create with simple tools, and let them learn what they want to learn. Don't force too much drama on somebody, because that's taking away from their zen, actually. And so. But I think we, make a list of your necessary projects. I would say that to prepare for New Year's. Just make an omnibus list of all your necessary projects. And I think the way to be an accountability partner or a life coach or a self-help teacher is, how do you engage people in a way where it's fun for them to work on their life in the same way that it's fun to play Minecraft? Like if you could think of your life as a hallucination or a dream or an identification, a game, right? And the list goes on. You can think of something in many different ways, but you're not doing it from a truth perspective. You're doing it from like a motivational perspective. Like, yeah, I understand the finite is limited. I understand, like, not everybody's going to like me. I understand there's stuff that I'm not going to be able to do. But by golly, right? That's I always thought that was kind of funny. By golly, if we could get me or you or somebody else to tick some things off a to-do list that would be good, like, what's the harm in coming up with some hacks, right? We think, oh, that's not truth, it's a hack, it's not truth. But let's see if it works or not. Like, I guess the proof is in the pudding. Like, did you do it or not? So, okay, friends, so hopefully this was a good video. I'll talk to you soon, and we'll keep on with our New Year's resolution thing. And I'll talk to you next week. Take care.